It's Darren, D-A-R-R-E-N, Campbell, C-A-M-P-B-E-L-L, Sheriff here in Iredell County. Yesterday, around 4:30 p.m., the Iredell County Sheriff's Office received a call of a possible child shot. Deputies did respond, and within 1 minute, the deputy was actually close, was on the scene with just over a minute, found a neighbor who was performing CPR on a young child. Deputies did take over CPR with this child until EMS, first responders from Ebenezer Fire, and our rescue was able to be on scene. At that point, they did notice it was a small child, later determined to be approximately 3 years old, suffering from a single gunshot wound to the face area. The child was transported by Iredell County EMS to Iredell Memorial, later life flighted out by Atrium to Baptist, where the child was pronounced dead at around 8:32 last night. You know, we make this release, obviously it's a tragic, sad event, but we want to be respectful of the family, we want to praise the family. It's a tragic thing, we hate what they're going through, but also remember all the first responders and those in that community as well. So at that point, the investigation is ongoing. It will continue to be ongoing with investigators working this case, gathering evidence, which we did yesterday, work the scene. We are finished at the scene, and now it'll just be getting our evidence together and getting the next step of the investigation, to see which direction we take. And I will take just...
I know that you said in the press release that the child was shot inside of a car.
Yes.
Were they both inside of that car?
It appears this moment both of them were inside of a vehicle. When deputies arrived on the scene, CPR was being given. The child was outside of the vehicle at that point, from what I'm understanding. And then I do know initially the deputies did
Well, this morning, more than 100,000 students in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools are getting ready for the first day of class, but it's not without its challenges. The district is short hundreds of teachers, bus drivers, and cafeteria workers, with class set to begin just hours from now. Wake Up Charlotte's Shamaria Morrison joins us now. And Shay, this is just one of the challenges Superintendent Crystal Hill is tackling during her first full year as district leader.
Yeah, that's right. And it's actually a pretty big challenge. We know what that operational staff means to make sure CMS is running good. You think about your bus drivers, cafeteria workers, custodians. Those are all people who they need in place to make sure that the first day of school goes without a hitch. What they do tell me is that these shortages that they're suffering right now, it won't greatly disrupt the first day of school. Students should be okay, but we know what it means when you don't have enough bus drivers in certain areas. We saw this happen in a lot of places all over the country. There are some school districts that are paying to see if parents can take their children to school. We also saw in other areas like Kentucky, for example, students who didn't have bus drivers and students who didn't get home until 10 p.m. on the first day of school, they also had to stop school for a little bit. CMS says this is not the case for them. They've actually had to make some of those situations that are unpopular for some in the community. For example, express bus stops. That's where some of their magnet school programs, well, they'll actually be reducing the bus drivers and bus routes that are going to that. Take a listen from the COO of the district on why this was a smart choice to make.
I would remind people that if we had not shifted to made some shifts, especially with the express stop service, instead of being 30 drivers short, we'd be more like 180 to 200 drivers short right now.
And they're also short cafeteria workers, a lot more than they were last year, 156 shortages. And this is not equal across all the schools, but CMS says they are trying to recruit people. They have bonuses for some of these positions. Most of those positions do start at about $15 an hour, and they said they're going to continue to recruit through the entire school year. For Wake Up Charlotte, I'm Shamaria Morrison.
Alrighty, it's 5:16 this morning, and of course we're asking, where's the money? Now this time we're trying to save some money on your TV bills. Now after Netflix and its new rules on password sharing, that might mean more out of your pocket, but we're taking a closer look at some numbers from Consumer Report. So the research organization is giving some insight as to how much people are spending on their subscriptions. At last check, Consumer Report adds the average American has about 4 different subscriptions. Now depending on the service, that can run you about $50 a month or $600 a year. It's why we have a couple of alternatives. Now first, it may be time to bring back the antennas. You can get these as low as $20, and if you're living in a metro area like Charlotte, well, you'll get your favorite local channels like WCNC Charlotte, as well as some traditional channels as well. And remember, you are not bound to a contract for a lot of these services, so come and go as you please. Once you finish watching that series on Apple TV or that movie on Disney+, you can quit the service and then rejoin when you have something new to watch. Now, another reminder here, there's a number of free ad-based subscriptions that you may want to try. And here's the list. You've got Freevee, Pluto, Tubi, Crackle, and Hoopla and Canopy. Those are just some to name. It got us asking, though, this morning, how many subscriptions do you pay for? Make sure you text us at 704-329-3600.
All right. Kia, thanks. We watch Tubi with our kids. Eugene told me about it. There's all the old school shows on it like Scooby-Doo and Batman, and it's completely free.
Nice.
You would love it.
What's the name of this again?
Tubi.
Tubi.
Yeah.
Tubi dooby doo.
Very similar, yes. Yes.
Frank Sinatra may have done it a couple years ago.
Yes.
With your help, WCNC Charlotte is making a difference in our community.
Beautiful day, so many people helping. This is incredible.
Let's spread that love tonight.
Here is a $5,000 check that you guys can use to further the mission.
There is nothing on earth like the feeling of giving back with your hands.
$5,000 to you and Block Love Charlotte for what you guys do.
If you'd like to make a difference, go to WCNC.com/make-a-difference now.
Time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. We are waiting for Hurricane Idalia to make landfall in Florida later this morning. It leaves folks along the Carolina coastline a few hours to take action.
Parts of the Carolinas could get up to 8 inches of rain, and time is running out to get ready. Let's connect the dots. South Carolina emergency officials encouraging folks to be proactive. First up, double check your emergency kit. It should contain some non-perishable food, water, medications, flashlights, batteries, and a first aid kit. Second, if your home is at risk for flooding, clear your gutters and storm drains now. It'll make a huge difference in making sure floodwaters flow away from your home. Secure outdoor furniture and garden tools. Those things can be downright dangerous if picked up and thrown in the air. Finally, stay informed. The WCNC app is a great place to track the storm as it moves up the Carolina coast. And that is Connecting the Dots.
In just a few hours, students at UNC Chapel Hill will be going back to class for the first time since Monday's deadly shooting. Last night, thousands gathered to pay their respects to the professor who was shot and killed. Wake Up Charlotte's Destiny Richards has more on what's been a difficult week at UNC.
UNC Chapel Hill students and faculty will return to class Thursday morning, their hearts heavy with grief.
We're here to acknowledge the pain this has brought to our community.
The campus community came together for an opportunity to express that grief Wednesday night at a candlelight vigil.
To sit together, to grieve together, and to comfort one another.
Both the vigil and a ringing of the bell tower, followed by a moment of silence yesterday afternoon. It was all to honor the life of Dr. Zhu Jian, an applied physical sciences professor who was tragically killed. His murder, a student who worked closely with Jan's research group at UNC. He's being held without bond in the Orange County Detention Center. As the campus continues its investigation, Chancellor Guskowitz emphasized to students and faculty in a message, quote, "We know that the wounds of this tragedy will not heal quickly. And in this time of profound sadness, let's continue to build and strengthen our community together."
Verify, WCNC Charlotte.
Verify is all about trying to make a difference in the community by making sure that the community has the correct information. This is what we know, and hey, this is what we don't know. Sometimes you're actually surprised by the answer.
Verify the difference.
Verify is a great way to combat that misinformation, making sure that people know the process of the reporting.
Time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. From pharmacies to gas stations, self-checkouts are popping up everywhere. They have been for some time. And while the stations can help businesses cut down on staff, it could be hurting customers.
While scanning your groceries has become the norm, it could be making some Americans more lonely. Let's connect the dots. Self-checkouts account for nearly 40% of the checkouts at U.S. grocery chains. 4 in 5 Americans report they would rather use a self-serving kiosk than deal with a human cashier. But folks are losing out on maintaining a human connection by doing so, and the trend has no sign of slowing down. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics predicts the number of cashiers nationwide is going to shrink over the next 10 years. That means about 355,000 jobs will be gone. As the world becomes more reliant on technology, experts say the little interaction at the checkout could make all the difference for some people. And that is Connecting the Dots.
Welcome back. Ready to smile? At 11 years old, you might not know what you want to do with the rest of your life. I know I didn't, but this little girl does. Hannah Rue, that is her. She definitely knows.
Yeah, her goal is to inspire others to reach for their dreams. As you can see, she is living one of her dreams here. WCNC Charlotte's Sarah French takes a look at how this young dancer is making a difference and motivating others along the way.
Well, I would want people to know that even though I look different, I'm just like you.
So Hannah is a spunky 11-year-old.
Hannah's mom, Katie, says her daughter was born missing both legs as well as part of one arm.
When we first found out, it was a big shock. But we had the whole pregnancy to kind of go through all those emotions.
And her mom says after Hannah was born, they never looked back.
We didn't think anything was going to stop her.
With the love and support from her family, Hannah took off. From baseball to soccer, gymnastics, and cheer, Hannah did it all. But dance became her passion.
I feel like dance is like a stress reliever because sometimes after school I'll have like a stressful day and then I'll come to dance that night and just like let all my feelings and emotions out, and I forget about everything around me and I'm just like in the moment.
At Steps in Motion Dance Studio, Hannah says she feels at home.
I'll just like imagine me like almost like in the future, just like dancing on like stage or something. I want to be an amazing dancer.
Hannah's mom said when they first called Steps, they weren't sure how it would all play out.
When we first called up and let them know about her, we kind of didn't say a whole lot because we're like, she's very independent. This is her body. She was born a little different and has prosthetics, and we'll just kind of see where it goes.
And when Hannah joined new classes, she was fine with questions from the other kids.
Everyone's curious and like people haven't seen me before, so I just want everyone to know that like I'm fine talking about my body. It doesn't make me uncomfortable or anything, and I accept all questions.
Hannah is working on walking in her full leg prosthetics as well. But for now, she's comfortable just like this.
She's definitely in her element when she's on stage. Hannah, when she's dancing, she's in her own world, and I can see her just dance away everyday stresses of the world. I see every emotion just come out and just pure happiness. And that's, as a mom, the best thing to see. She's taught me just to be yourself. That's been, I think, the most important thing with her.
It doesn't matter if you're different or not. And I know sometimes things can be hard because it's like life can be completely different, but just don't let that bring you down, and to always remember that you're different and that's fine. It's perfect, perfectly fine.
Hannah encourages all of us to embrace what makes us unique, pursuing your passions along the way. For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Sarah French.
I'm not talking about that today, though.
The news is great now.
I'm not transitioning to that whatsoever. I have no storm chances, rain chances, just this, Ben.
I like it,
Sarah.
I like this.
So I have a couple of forecasts prepared. Okay. For one, apple picking.
Okay.
That sounds pretty good.
I mean, you know, why not?
I feel
it's September now.
It is September.
Right, so for tomorrow, say if you want to go apple picking, it is going to be absolutely gorgeous because, hey, it's pretty much fall forecast, right? So for your apple picking forecast for tomorrow, look at temperatures only into the lower 80s. So we're feeling very fall-y today because it is also meteorological fall. Now, we're not talking about the leaves turning orange and red anytime soon. But here in the meteorological world, we separate our record-keeping per month. So it's by a 3-month set. So September, October, November is technically autumn in our world. That means the summer record book has closed. So here's some extremes that we saw for the summer. The hottest it felt was 108 degrees. That was on August 14th. 97 was the top temperature. 96 was number 2, and we had a bunch of 95s. And 77 dew point is downright tropical. The other numbers are 76, 75. So we had a lot of big humid days. As for the summer rankings, we have nothing in the top 20, a bunch in the top 50. It was the 39th warmest, 39th most 90-degree days that we've had during the summer, and then the 40th wettest on record. That last rain put us just over 15 inches. But once we get into, I would say, day 4, 5, 6 of September, look where temperatures are returning. By Labor Day, we're expecting the lower 90s, the mid-90s on Wednesday, and then we'll hold on to the 90s through the rest of the week into the weekend, back to the upper 80s on record. That last rain put us just over 15 inches. But once we get into, I would say, day 4, 5, 6 of September, look where temperatures are returning. By Labor Day, we're expecting the lower 90s, the mid-90s on Wednesday, and then we'll hold on to the 90s through the rest of the week into the weekend, back to the upper 80s. That's above normal. We should be in the mid-80s for this time of the month, and it looks like we're going to be trending close to about 10 degrees above that on a couple of days. Also, we're going to see a brief break about how we feel. It feels amazing today, but then once you get to tomorrow, it feels a little sticky. Once you get to Sunday, Monday, it's starting to feel humid again. We might even use the word muggy by early next week. How did this morning feel, though, right? 61 degrees was the low. The last time we were at that temperature was late spring, June 17th. That was 76 days ago. So it is nice to see some of these cooler lows stick around for the next couple of mornings. That means each morning, waking up this weekend, right around 60 degrees. So if you love this morning, sipping some hot coffee, watching the sunrise, well, why don't you do it back-to-back mornings? Labor Day weekend, really no complaints here. You have 84 on Saturday, upper 80s on Sunday, and then lower 90s on Sunday. This is truly a perfect Labor Day forecast because it kind of has something for everyone. It's feeling a little bit more comfortable, less humid, mid 80s. If you like it hotter, kind of right in the middle for what you expect this time of year, that's Sunday. But hey, if you want a good pool day in the lower 90s, Labor Day is your day. You can't go wrong. We're also thanking our Happy High. So meet Happy. Whenever one of these guys moves in, it brings the sunshine. He loves to jam with that drier weather, but also on the right side of them, that's where you tend to have a little bit warmer air. So what's going to happen is this high pressure system, our Happy High, is going to sink in from the north. Once we get to his right or left of the side of the screen, that's going to blast winds out of the south, and that's going to allow us to warm up a lot more, and that's why we're warming up so much through the holiday weekend. As far as our rain chances go, I do have a slight chance of 20 to maybe 30% chance on Wednesday and Thursday, but over the next 5 days, we are staying dry. A lot going on this weekend. Only one Carolina can be victorious. We have the Duke's Mayo Classic. Here's what's going on. Saturday at 7:30, you know, we have college game day starting out right here in Charlotte. Uptown is going to be quite the party tomorrow. Start of the game, upper 70s, so it is perfect football weather. And if you're a runner, good for you. I wish I was like you. Well, a 10K is happening around the Crown, and it is going to shut down a good portion of 277 for most of your Sunday morning. Perfect running weather, though, starting off in the 60s, ending in the lower 70s by the time that run is over. Getting hotter heading into next week when the Knights are back in town. Highs will be back into the mid-90s, but as I mentioned, storm chances quite low, so enjoy this dry stretch and this fall-like weather while we have it.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
New at 11, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper officially designating August 26th as statewide Women's Equality Day. This day also the 50th anniversary of the commemoration of the National Women's Equality Day and the passage of the 19th Amendment of the United States, granting some women in America the right to vote. WCNC Charlotte's Austin Walker takes us inside a woman-owned small business and shares how that owner says anything is possible.
For Samantha Allen,
get rockin' and rollin'.
Getting to this spot wasn't a piece of cake.
I never thought I would get this
just far.
Alan is the owner and lead baker of Wentworth and Finn Bakery in Charlotte.
We are a bootstrap business, so it's certainly not easy because I have no investors. It's all me.
But aside from the typical challenges of starting a business, she says it was made more difficult as a woman.
I've definitely had comments and actions that have happened in the kitchens that I've worked in where it either made me incredibly angry and I wanted to try harder to surpass them, or it made me want to just prove them wrong.
Alan says the restaurant industry is a male-dominated field, so getting her foot in the door was challenging. The National Restaurant Association says females have lower representation in the back of the house. 1 in 5 chefs and 1 in 3 cooks are female.
Here we are.
Saying representation is important.
If anyone who is younger, who aspires to be a pastry chef or business owner sees that it's possible without having to be backed by whoever it is, like you can do it.
A reminder of all the steps taken to get here today.
Everything.
But Alan's saying there's still a lot more work left.
Funding for especially women-owned small businesses are not as great as they could be. So I would really love to see us to be able to be funded a little bit more.
So others like Alan can have their cake and eat it too.
Those are delightful.
In Charlotte, Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
Good morning, Ben. So I'm going to get into some local district policies in just a minute, but I want to start with some numbers. We're taking a look at last year's stats to get an idea of what this year might look like. When it comes to teen smoking, the FDA and CDC came out with a report last year saying about 2.5 million students reported currently using e-cigarettes. Now, guys, I want you to remember, too, this is not just high schoolers. It's even our middle schoolers as well. Nearly 85% of those youth are using flavored e-cigarettes. And if you need to check the backpacks, well, here are the brands that you want to look out for. So there's the infamous Juul, there's Puff Bar, Views, Hyde Smoke, and U-Well. These are all some of the top brands that are being used by young ones. Now, actually getting into the policy itself, we're taking you to Morganton. That's where Burke County Schools outlines this policy. So the first offense, and this is being caught vaping with a vape or even with paraphernalia like cartridges or the actual e-cigarette, that first offense is going to be punishable by 3 days in school suspension. Now moving on to the second offense, that's 3 days out of school suspension. And then the third offense is punishable by up to 5 days out of school suspension plus a more intensive cessation program. And if you do it 4 times, well, this is now 10 days of out of school suspension with even more long-term suspension on the table. Now with numbers like those, the hope is that the new rules discourage kids from soaking. Sarah, I'll send it back to you.
New at 6 here. A lot has changed in uptown Charlotte over the last 25 years, with a front seat to it all as a soul food restaurant that's become well known by locals and celebrities alike.
Mertz Heart and Soul opened on North College Street in 1998, but getting to this anniversary has not been easy. WCNC Charlotte's Kaylin Hagwood shares that story.
Over the past 25 years, customers say Mertz has become a staple of uptown Charlotte with its family environment and Southern favorites.
Nestled on North College Street in the heart of Uptown.
For the Southerners in us, that's between 5th and 6th.
Is a restaurant with 25 years of soul.
And they've been here forever, and we've been coming here forever to enjoy the food.
Known for their low country and Gullah-inspired dishes.
I always go with the fried chicken, always.
Mertz Heart and Soul restaurant prides themselves on serving the city of Charlotte.
Would you like some more soul? You doing all right?
With a smile.
Yes, it is a family here.
A native of Athens, Georgia, owner James Bazell came to the Queen City to pursue his dreams of entrepreneurship.
I have been reading in Black Enterprises about the growth of Charlotte. And I seen the city. I said, man, that's a pretty cool city.
He relocated his family in 1991, began a catering company, became an executive chef, and quickly learned Charlotte's restaurant industry before opening Georgia on Tryon in 1996. It was one of few restaurants located in Charlotte's downtown area at the time.
You know, I'm trying to pay the mortgage at the house. And I kept getting turned down for loans. But the gentleman that worked at the African American Chamber became a loan officer. And so that's why we got our first loan from.
After meeting a key Bank of America executive 2 years later in 1998, he'd moved to North College Street and opened Mertz Heart and Soul.
Wasn't no arena, wasn't no building, wasn't no restaurants around us, nothing, just a hotel.
They've served families and prominent people, including then presidential hopefuls Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, but not without a challenge.
I felt like the business was me. and it failed, that means I'm a failure.
He said the loans and loyal customers helped them to survive. Now as Uptown changes with fewer people working in offices to support the lunch rush, they're adjusting again.
Challenges keep pushing you to be stronger.
Pushing toward the next anniversary and more years in Uptown.
You can visit them 7 days a week here on North College Street in Uptown. Caitlin Hagwood, WCNC Charlotte.
Hurricane Idalia now a powerful Category 4 hurricane. That's just in the past 90 minutes. It will be a historic storm, and it's the second major hurricane to make landfall in Florida in back-to-back years. Oddly, both storms beginning with the letter I. Chris Mulcahy tells us if this is just a coincidence in this week's Weather IQ.
Idalia will be the first hurricane to make landfall in the United States in 2023, and it's backing up this trend. To beware of the I names during hurricane season. Storms beginning with the letter I have been retired more than any other letter, 14 times total, and 12 of those were since the year 2000. Idalia will be the fourth I name in the last 4 years to make landfall in the United States. Isaias was the earliest I name on record in 2020, forming in July, and the last two I name retirees were recently historic. Ida hit Louisiana in 2021, coincidentally on the same date as Katrina. It reversed the Mississippi River's flow briefly and had sustained winds of 150 miles per hour. Ian in 2022 was the costliest hurricane in Florida history and the third costliest in the United States. Peaking as a Category 5, making landfall as a strong Category 4, Ian's storm surge at 13.8 feet in Fort Myers Beach is the highest recorded in Southwest Florida in the past 150 years. Of the 14 I names retired, 13 of them have been major hurricanes, which is Category 3 or stronger. 5 have peaked to Category 5, 6 to Category 4, and 2 Category 3s. So why I? It's all about timing. Over the last 30 years, the number 9 storm, I, averages an appearance around September 16th, right around the peak of hurricane season. Also, peak tropical activity is close to the United States at this time. So regardless of being retired or not, Idalia will still be historic. Idalia will be the 8th major hurricane to make landfall in the United States since 2010 and the 40th major landfall since 1954, where 87% of those names were retired. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy with WCNC Charlotte. And one thing I left out is for a storm to be retired, it has to cause a devastating significant damage or also a significant loss of life. So even the strongest of hurricanes, I know Zeta was a Category 3 major hurricane. That one was not retired. So we'll see. Luckily, it's not a high population area, but there's still a lot of population there. So this is a major story, a major storm. This is also the 4th year in a row that we've had a major hurricane make landfall in the United States.
It's the irony of the letter I.
I know.
It's almost, you could count on it just be a devastating hurricane.
And we were saying that because before it looked like Idalia was going to form a couple of weeks ago. And then I was like, okay, we're good. And then it didn't happen. And then, of course, here she is.
There you go.
And
Wake up to the news that matters most with meteorologists and
made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
traffic reporter Chris Mulcahy.
And we're all clear. We're keeping you smarter, safer, and on time.
Start your day the Mulcahy way. See the difference. 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
Let's turn the page now for the news at 6. Educators fighting back after months of payroll problems put their hard-earned money on hold. Tonight, the Gaston County School Board is still battling a lawsuit from 2 of its teachers and the North Carolina Association of Educators.
The lawsuit alleges the Board of Education went forward with a flawed payroll system despite warnings ahead of time that it was compromised. And you remember, we have reported on these protests from educators calling for answers and accountability. Right now, there is a pause in the legal proceedings, but that expires tomorrow if both parties in the lawsuit don't come to a resolution.
But as the lawsuit plays out in the court system, WCNC has been asking, where's the money now? WCNC Charlotte, Shamaria Morrison in the studio. Shay, you've been investigating this story for months. Many folks, they want to know who's footing this bill to fix the issues and how much